I left a message. I remember that the person that was supposed to call me back, she didn't call me back. But I just had like this calling on God telling me, you keep going, you keep, because I'm very persistent. And I said, this is going to be no exception. I am going to get in touch with someone at the office because eventually they're going to say, you know what, we need to call her back because she's really insisting and she really wants to be engaged and involved. And that's exactly what happened.
All right, today we're interviewing Sophia Bernal, one of the founding members of Scale Together. Scale Together is a nonprofit started by a group of purpose-driven entrepreneurs that want to help others in and near Orange County grow their businesses while integrating their faith into the way they do business. Sophia, thanks so much for being with us. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into entrepreneurship, specifically in OC?
Thank you, Scott, for allowing me to be able to share my story so that others can understand my love and passion for business. I grew up with parents that were serial entrepreneurs, like many immigrants. They came to the United States in search of the American dream. So my parents had different businesses. I am the oldest of five children. So my parents utilized me to be able to help them translate for them and understand the way of doing business. So that's how my journey of entrepreneurship started, by helping my parents translate for them. Spanish is my first language,
Mhm.
and I had to step it up and help them. And that's where my love for understanding really what happens with business owners and the day-to-day operation came from.
That's great. I have a similar story, and I know as children of immigrants, oftentimes the ones that start businesses, we're called on to help out. Now, did your parents have any sort of support network other than you to help them with their business? Because I know my folks opened dry cleaners, right? But they had actually a Korean American network of dry cleaners. In fact, they even had their own publication called I believe it was the Korean Dry Cleaner Times, and they'd gather to talk. Did your parents have any of that or no?
No, they did not. And I feel that for business owners, having that support network is so important, because I had to figure out so many things as a child on my own by calling, asking others. So I had to learn from adults. So that network and support system is crucial, because I realized that financially, my parents could have done more. They could have built different relationships. They could have done more than what they did, but they were depending on a child to help them. And that child was trying to do the best she possibly could to be able to
Mhm.
help them. But a support network is so important, to be able to help a business owner, get to a different level, build different relationships, find out what resources, programs are available, which are crucial to be able to help a business succeed.
So, what inspired you to start a group like Scale Together?
As I was visiting different groups in Orange County, I felt that one of the missing components, at least, from the meetings I had, is that we were more like professionals that were wanting to meet business owners, but we weren't having business owners come in, those
Mhm.
that live the day-to-day operations, that would talk about their triumphs, their struggles in doing business. And I thought, if I am ever in a position where I can, share my input, my knowledge, and my connections, I'd like to be able to share those stories of those entrepreneurs that I've met throughout the years and bring them to be able to talk about entrepreneurship and have it in a setting where people can learn from them firsthand and, be part of that discussion.
Sure. And I know Scale is pretty new. You mentioned a lot of the other groups you went to sort of doing the same thing. And how do you envision Scale Together being different than those groups that you've visited in the past?
What I look to, create with scale is an environment where people that, regardless of, their ethnic background, what part of the world they might have came from, feel a place that is inviting. And with different sectors, that's really what I want to be able to show, the diversity of what America is, of people from various backgrounds but different sectors as well, because we have a diversity of businesses in Orange County, and I want to be able to share those stories. So more than anything, that's really what I'd like to be able to present to others, companies that they maybe wouldn't have otherwise, been able to engage and interact with, in an environment that, they can meet the individuals that are behind that brand, that business, because then it brings a different sense of connection, because then you see you are supporting a family, and what goes behind having that brand and that image, because a lot of times people think this people are born into money, or that they've inherited business, and it takes great work and sacrifice to be able to create these businesses. So bringing the business owners themselves, and whoever the speaker may be, it just gives it a very different sense of appreciation, and seeing who you are supporting that minute that you walk into that door with that business.
Sure. And I know in the intro I mentioned Scale had a faith integration element to it. Can you tell us a little bit about how your faith has sort of influenced your approach to entrepreneurship and business?
Well, I would have to say God was with me since the beginning, because in the type of industries that my parents had, they were very heavily regulated industries. So I had to be carrying conversations with like district attorneys, because they had a gas station. So we had to be in compliance with the underground storage tanks that had to be removed. But then I would have to also speak with, whoever the CPA was, bankers. So God was with me during that time to guide me, because as a child, it was very intimidating. One, to have that type of responsibility placed upon yourself, to be able to be translating in two languages. So as a child, that was something that for me, I was forced, I had to do it, being the oldest. But at the same time, I realized that it was God that was guiding me to give me that sense of courage and confidence to be able to interact with those individuals, and the patience and grace that they shared over me. Because many times they told me, "How old are you?" And I would tell them, I'm 8, I'm 10, whatever age I was at that time. And they would tell me, "We admire you because you are so young, and here you are translating and helping your parents." And I told them, I don't have a choice. This is what I had to do. But their grace and admiration over me just gave me that sense of confidence. And for that, I am eternally grateful for God, because He placed those right individuals that helped me be able to feel more comfortable, and just to continue learning about business and helping my parents. And I say those were God-given people that God brought into my life to give me that sense of courage and help me navigate what I was going through at the time, because it was something that was, as a child, it was a huge responsibility. And I thank God, because He guided me all those years as I was growing up to be able to understand, what was going on.
No, that's great that at such a young age you had people encouraging you. And were there any specific individuals you remember that were sort of mentors for you that really helped encourage you, that you can recall, and any advice that they gave you specifically as a child?
I specifically remember that there was a district attorney in San Bernardino County that I went and I spoke to him, because my parents had to remove their underground storage tank. And when we were in the elevator, he told me, "I am so proud of you, because you're here translating for your parents, and you're understanding what they need to do to be in compliance, so that we don't continue to find them. And I'm just so proud of you." And I thought, if only he knew the stress that I have to be able to go back to the business and give my parents these positive, um, you know, results of the meeting. But really, I think it was at that moment, for someone at the caliber and admiration that I had for him, to give me those words of encouragement, it really made me think of, again, that was an individual that was placed, that God wanted me to interact. And like he told me, you're a child, your parents should be here, but they're not here because I understand they have to be at the business. But I realized God-given divine intervention to put people like him in those positions that took mercy and grace over me. And, he even said, I wonder if your parents are going to comply with this agreement that we're going to come up with. And I said, they will comply. He goes, how do you know? I said, because I'm going to have to do the work. Everything that you're saying, the companies that I need to reach out to and everything, I said, that's why I asked you to write it down, because I am going to be the one calling. And it was individuals like him that gave me those words of encouragement and inspiration to take that road of entrepreneurship, because I knew that I had that passion in me. And it all started with my parents and their business, and individuals like him that motivated and inspired me, and saw my God-given talent really to be able to connect and relate, and that love for entrepreneurship that I have.
Well, that's great. And so now today you want to help other entrepreneurs. Is there a specific reason why you like Orange County so much? I mean, I grew up here. That's why I love Orange County, right? The truth is, California, as we know, is a tough place, but I think within California, Orange County probably provides one of the best climates. It's one of the best managed counties. You can compare us to LA County, right? I don't need to really say much, but how did you particularly get involved in Orange County?
I grew up in San Bernardino County. I grew up in the city of Chino. So, Chino is a very conservative city, and I grew up in the Dairyland area. So I attended schools with individuals that were business owners, the children of dairymen. Um, and that's really the people that I was surrounded with, people that grew up in that business climate and environment. So that's where I've spent the majority of my time, in the Inland Empire, in the city of Chino, Ontario. And I know the Inland Empire area very well, because as the commercial real estate broker, I work with entrepreneurs in different sectors just throughout Orange County. I did work towards my bachelor's degree from the University of Irvine. So I always
That's
had
right.
this love for Orange County, because out in the Inland Empire, we have, open space, and it's just very different, the layout. But Orange County, I was always just drawn to Orange County, the beach,
Yeah.
the businesses, the settings, because you have more land in the Inland Empire, but Orange County, you have more businesses because they're smaller locations, smaller businesses, and very strong, fiscally responsible county. That Orange County is very conservative, where you have a lot of diversity of different ethnicities and different sectors. So I just wanted to try something, very different, with interacting businesses from Orange County. And I said, it's difficult to be able to navigate from both, counties. So I need to focus on one. And I decided to focus on Orange County. And I started with, the city of Newport Beach, getting to know the business owners and the different sectors, because they're all very different. You have a city of Newport Beach, which is drawn by a lot of tourism, the hospitality, medical, industry. And then we have Irvine, that is more the clean tech, white collar. And then you have Santa Ana, very diverse. So it just gives me more of a diversity to play with. But at the same time, it's like, then I started interacting with different groups that were religion based and with churches. And I would have to say that pastor that really transformed my mindset and interaction with Orange County is Pastor Rick Warren.
Oh
I
yeah.
started listening to his sermons. even though he is retired, and really understanding his love for entrepreneurship and how he combines in his sermons mental health awareness. And I just fell in love with his way of teaching and just that overall love that he has for Christ and that openness to be able to carry on those dialogues in a very natural form. And I said, I really want to be part of this. I want to learn more. So what I did is I called the Brea Saddleback Church and asked if there was a faith-based Christian entrepreneurship group that the church had. And they informed me that there was a group that had just barely started at the location over in Lake Forest.
Yeah.
So from
That's where we
there,
met.
that's where we met. Exactly. So from there, I left a message. I remember that the person that was supposed to call me back, she didn't call me back. But I just had like this calling on God telling me, you keep going, you keep because I'm very persistent. And I said, this is going to be no exception. I am going to get in touch with someone at the office because eventually they're going to say, you know what, we need to call her back because she's really insisting and she really wants to be engaged and involved. And that's exactly what happened. I called back again. And the receptionist said, I can't believe no one's called you. And I said, listen, give me the direct number, the extension of the person, the email address. I said, because from there, it'll just be me contacting and I won't have to go through a middle person. And that's what it was. The lady who interacted with me, she did return my call. And then I learned that the group that was started there for the entrepreneurs had just met 1 week. And then I just started attending the meetings and meeting everybody else who also share love and a passion for entrepreneurship. And I said, you know what, this is going to give me the opportunity to be around individuals who also have this love, combining faith with entrepreneurship. And I said, if this is where God wants me to be, then this is where I'll be. And that's where I met you, Scott, and you just talked about, ways that we can help and support entrepreneurs throughout Orange County. And here we have a scale together.
I think it's funny because looking back to when we first started meeting, I know we kind of splintered off, at the beginning of the year, but the people who were most gung-ho about this, because you and I think we were just kind of saying, all right, let's see where it goes, going along for the ride. But the people who are most gung-ho, I won't mention any names, but early on who were involved, they kind of burnt out and they're kind of gone now. And it's funny how, you and I are kind of carrying this on. What contributes to longevity and being a part of an organization like this for the long haul? I mean, why did some of those people who seemed the most excited kind of stop in the first month or two? And why are we still here doing this?
The way I look at it, and I told you that as people were dropping out and no longer part of the group, I told you, one, I'm not going to be throwing in the towel just yet. I feel that if God died on the cross for me and he, was able to overcome the physical, emotional trauma, everything that he went through, putting a group together to be able to glorify him and, mutually help one another. I understood that was not going to be an easy task, but that's nothing compared to what God did for us. So I said, I will try to think of different strategies and ways to be able to interact with others and get the word out. The Scale Together is here to support the entrepreneurship community, because if people don't know that we exist, they're not going to attend our events. They're not going to engage with us. They're not going to understand that we are a welcoming, group that wants to embrace entrepreneurship. That's the reason why I told you, let's put this out to the public so that others know through different social media platforms so that they could come to us. But I would say that for any organization, anywhere that you participate, it's like, what is it that you are willing to contribute and put into making that commitment to that organization possible? Because we can all say, you know what, I'm interested, I'd like to be able to engage, but it's that time, that commitment, really to say, this is what I want to contribute to the group, or this is how I'm bringing my God-given gifts and talents. I would say being engaged, being involved, and contributing to the group is crucial, but also taking those small steps to be able to accomplish whatever it is that you're planning to do. And I think that more like on a weekly basis, that's why we have the meetings to be able to brainstorm. But I would say really accomplishing those goals by taking it, week by week, day by day. That is what's going to make the difference, so we don't get burned out and we feel that we're accomplishing, that vision and goal of bringing entrepreneurships together.
No, I think you just made an important point that the contribution, right? I mean, we approach this with what can we give, what can we contribute to entrepreneurship, rather than, what am I going to get out of this? And ironically, that helps us stay longer, or wanting to give, because it's interesting how we were, 6 people, when we had that first meeting. And then we kind of dropped to 3 to 2. And then once we started reaching out to the community, I think we've got, between the last 2 meetings, because we've had about 2 meetings so far, right? The monthly meetings, I mean, I think we've had over 50 people now, and the majority of them say they want to get involved and contribute. Where do you think people can contribute the most now? What does Scale need in terms of support right now, would you say, the most? And then how can people do that?
There's different ways someone can be engaged, whether that is directly volunteering their time with the different areas that they can participate in, whether it's someone that has social media skills, or perhaps they can contribute with their knowledge in a specific sector, or perhaps they have a venue that they can share with us to be able to host, whether that is a weekly meeting or a lunch event. Financially be able to donate. We leave that up to the individual themselves to be able to say, this is how I would like to participate and contribute. Because I think that is the beauty when we allow others to be able to share their gifts, their talents, but in whatever capacity they're able to. So I would say that for those that, are interested in learning more, do come out to one of our lunch events so that you can learn what we are doing and, see firsthand the organization and the individuals that you will be supporting with your financial contribution or with your time, because I think that is crucial once you meet the people that are behind Scale Together, to be able to get a better understanding, of our hearts and love for entrepreneurship.
Yeah. So what are your hopes for Scale Together over the next year and beyond? Where do you see this going?
Well, I really would like more people to come to the events, grow, but I want them to be engaged. I don't want them just to, participate financially and contribute. I really would like to see that engagement, because that's what God wants us to do, to be able to come together, be able to share our God-given gifts and talents, but so that we all can grow. We can grow through our experiences, the relationships that we build, that knowledge, and be able to share that with others that are in the group. So that's really what my goal is, to be able to get the word out about, who we are, what we are trying to do, serve the Lord through our work, our God-given skills, and, just helping the entrepreneurs that are in Orange County. But we are going to be branching out to different parts of Orange County, and, in the near future, we'll see if we can branch out to different counties, but we are focused on Orange County for the moment.
I look forward to seeing where this goes. And thanks so much, Sophia, for sharing your story and talking about Scale Together. I'll see you at the next Scale meeting.